Shalom, shalom, Mr. Cobb.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. It's a pleasure seeing everybody here today. It's been a while, but it's always a pleasure seeing everybody, beautiful faces here. And we're going to have another dynamic lesson again in the set-apart spirit of the Father through His Son, Yahusha, Mashiyach. We have our Chief Elder, Zakein, here with us today, and we're going to go over the title of today's show is actually on the wrath and plagues of the Father of Yahuah, Part 1. So this is going to take a couple of series to try to get all of this compiled and put together so that everybody has a nice understanding of what's going on in these last days here. Without further ado, anybody have any testimonies they would like to share? How the Father has been baruching them, blessing them throughout the week, the months, the days, the years, anything?
Well, I just want to give the Father all the esteem and honor and Torah to him for giving me another chance to get it right. Woke me up today, yesterday, the day before that. So I want to give him all praises for that.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Very good. Very good.
I'm happy I got my goddaughter here with me today.
Okay.
And Bria.
Good to
It's
see
the
her.
first time here. We're going to have to cut out about 4, but it's all right.
Okay. Oh, man, you should have told us, man. Okay. All right. All right. So what we're going to do is that we're going to have our Chief Zakein. Okay, we're going to have our Chief Zakein, the blow the shofar for us 7 times, and we'll have, let's do Zabud. He'll bring us in with prayer, and we're going to get the lesson started. All right?
Shabbat shalom, Yahuah. We thank you once again for allowing us to be able to meet here today on this set-apart day and ask that you would meet us here. Thank you again for us being able to make it, and those who are able to make it today. We pray that those who were not able to make it or those who are at home, Father, will be able to receive the message that you are trying to give to them through Moreh Kasabah. We thank you and praise you once again for just allowing us to see a brand new day, another Shabbat, Father. We thank you and look forward to your return, that we may go home once again, Father, in order to be able to partake of your wonderful, awesome dinner, Father, wedding dinner, Father, as we begin to just get into the marriage with you. We submit to you, we commit to you, and we pray that you will be with us throughout the rest of this service and throughout the rest of the week, Father. Those who are on their way, Father, we ask that you would help them to arrive here safely. And those who are sick, might be shut in or whatever, we ask that you would heal, that you would lift up a bowed down head, that you would mend a broken heart, and that you would allow them to understand and know without a shadow of a doubt that it was only done because of you. We thank you, we praise you, we magnify your set-apart name. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Very good. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Great. All right. So we're going to go ahead and do what we do. All right. Okay, Mr. Carr, the title of today's class is The Wrath and Plagues of the Father of Yahuah. All right? And before we get started, we want to make sure that we give all esteem to the Father for his love, his grace, his mercy, all the things that the Father has been bestowing upon us. We want to make sure that we give all thanks and gratitude for the Father. And like I said earlier, it's a pleasure seeing everybody here today. And we have our Chief Zakein, Yahuah. He's going to be assisting me today with some of the reading. And I'm going to ask you, brother, to chime in at any time to help bring some clarity to these scriptures here. All right. So, Mr. McCall, what we want to start off today is understanding some very important words that we should remember. And one of the words that we should remember is the word servant, S-E-R-V-A-N-T, servant. That word is very important, okay, because identity needs to be clarified here in the scriptures. So the word servant, we're going to go to the first scripture, the book of Leviticus, the book of Vayikra. We're going to ask Gabar Yahuah, our chief elder, if he can read the book of Leviticus, the 25th chapter, verse 55. What is the Hebrew word for servant? And we're going to go into the definition. It is very, very important that we understand. When we read the scriptures from Genesis to Revelation, we need to understand who are the servants. Read on, please.
Vayikra, or Leviticus 25, verse 55. For unto me the children of Yashra'al are servants. They are my servants whom I brought forth out of the land of Mizraim, or Egypt. I am Yahuah, your Elohim.
Hallelujah. So we see in verse 25, the Father's making it very clear, extremely clear. For unto Yahuah the children of Yashra'al are servants. They are my servants whom I brought forth out of the land of Egypt. So we talked about possession here, and that is the claim that the Father put on us that we are his servants. Now when you go to the Strong's number 5650, we're going to go to the Brown's Driver Briggs definition. It means a slave, a servant, subjects, servants of worship, servants as prophets, and then when you get to Strong's dictionary, it has the word bondage, bondman, or bond servant. That is very, very important for us to understand. Okay, who are the servants that the Father is referring to from Genesis all the way to Revelation? It's only referring to the nation of Yashra'al. Next, what I want to tackle is Yahusha Mashiyach died and resurrected for his servants. Now, just to make sure everybody's paying attention, do anybody know who the servants are? Okay, Yashra'al is the servants now. So again, Yahushua HaMashiach died and resurrected for his servants, which are also called sheep, or better yet, known as sheep. And we're going to go to that, the book of John, or Yahuah, the book of Yahuah. We identifying who are the servants and who are the sheep, because not everybody can be a sheep, and not everybody is a servant. This is a personal relationship that the Father is trying to have with the nation of Yashra'al. John, 10th chapter, verse 11.
Yahuah, or John 10, verse 11. I am the good shepherd.
Anybody know who that is? Who is the good shepherd?
Yahusha.
Right. Who? Okay. Yeah. Yahusha is the shepherd.
The good shepherd giveth his life for the sheep.
And just to make sure that we're all on the same page here, and everybody knows who the sheep is. Okay, hallelujah. I mean, great. I mean, it's not a trick question. So again, we have I am, which is the Mashiyach, and the good shepherd. The good shepherd giveth his life for the sheep. This is what makes us servants. The book of Shemot, the 3rd chapter, verse 14. The book of Shemot, which is the book of Exodus, the 3rd chapter, verse 14. What do we have there?
The book of Shemot, or Exodus 3, verse 14. And Elohim said unto Moshe, or Moses, I am that I am. And he said, Thus shalt you say unto the children of Yashra'al, I am, have sent me unto you.
Now, we're going to get Zakar. Zakar, and you can go back to John 10 and 11. And then I'm going to have Zakane here to read, again, Shemot 3:14. And I want to be able to identify who it is actually speaking in verse 14. So if we can get Zakar, if you could read Shemot 3:14 again, and we're going to have Zakane to read 10 and 11. Were we up there?
I have an Exodus 3:14.
You
You want him to do John.
Right, okay. So you did, you're going to do John 10 and 11. Okay, 10 and 11. What do you have here?
John, chapter 10, verse 10. John chapter 10, verse 11.
Right,
I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd give his life for the sheep. But he that is a hireling and not the shepherd who own the sheep are not see the wolf coming and leave the sheep.
Right, just 10 and 11.
Just 10 and 11?
Yeah, just 10 and 11. Okay, so Zakane, will you read Shemot 3:14 one more time, please?
Shemot or Exodus 3, verse 14. And Elohim said unto Moshe, or Moses, I am that I am. And he said, thus shall you say unto the children of Yashra'al, I am, have sent me unto you.
So what do you find in comparison that you see similar that's going on in John 10 and 11 and Shemot 3:14 or Exodus 3:14?
I am.
Right, it's the I am. So we see the I am, all right, that's in Exodus 3:14. We see prophecy being fulfilled. So this was not the Father. That's Exodus 3:14. It was actually the Mashiyach in Exodus 3:14 because, again, he's fulfilling prophecy in John 10 and 11 again.
I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd give his life for the sheep.
In Zakane 3:14, one more time, please.
Exodus 3:14. And Elohim said unto Moshe, I am that I am. And he said, thus shalt you say unto the children of Yashra'al, I am, have sent me unto you.
Hallelujah. John 14, the 10th chapter, verses 14 to 16. I'm going to read that there, all right? 14 to 16. I am, which is the Mashiyach, I am the good shepherd, and knoweth my sheep, which is Israel, and known of mine, as the Father of Yahuah knoweth me, the Mashiyach, even so know I, the Father, Yahuah. I lay down my life, the Mashiyach, for the sheep, Israel. And other sheep I have which are not of this fold, them also I must bring, and they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold and one shepherd. At this time, there was a split between northern kingdom and southern kingdom. So there's other sheep that he had, because southern kingdom was for the most part still intact. They must also hear. So these two sticks must come together, as it says in verse 16, and other sheep I have, which are not of this fold, them also I must bring, and they shall hear my voice, and there should be one fold, that's reunification, and one shepherd, which is the Father of Yahuah, because he sent his son, Yahusha HaMashiach. Any questions so far? Okay, Tolio. You want to add anything?
No, see what you have, when you just read about them two shall be one fold, that's important. Because there's people out there saying that that there's other sheep that they're saying that those are the other nations.
Oh, right, absolutely.
So he's actually cleared it up when he says that, these two, shall be one fold.
Absolutely.
And we know that the other nations can't be one fold with us.
Exactly.
Far as, being on that bigger rim, that first fruits.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this just ties in with Ezekiel, the 37th chapter, where the two sticks must come together and be one in the Father's hand.
Hallelujah.
Okay, Zakane, if you go to the book of John, the 17th chapter, we're going to read verses 8 through 9. And what we're trying to show here now is that the Mashiyach died and resurrected for his servants. The servants is the nation of Yashra'al. And another word for Israel is sheep. And the Mashiyach is the shepherd. Smite the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. Who was smitten? It was the Mashiyach. All right, and after that, the sheep scattered. Even though we all said that we will follow the Mashiyach into the end. But the Talmudim, when it came to that point, where now, whether or not you're actually going to love the Father to the very end, or the Mashiyach to the very end, let's see what's going to happen once, again, the tire hits the road.
Yahuah or John 17, verse 8. For I have given unto them the words which you gavest me.
Right, who did he give the words to? Right, to be more specific.
Yashra'al. That's the southern kingdom.
The Talmudim at this time, I mean, because he's working with an elite group. This is elite group. But I've given unto them the words,
which you gavest me, and they have received them, and have known surely that I came out from you, and they have believed that you didn't send me. I pray for them. I pray not.
Who's the Mashiyach speaking to here? I mean, because he's making a prayer here.
The Father.
Okay, hallelujah.
I pray for them. I pray not for the world, but for them which you has given me, for they are yours.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. So that should be pretty much self-explanatory there. Understanding the redemptive role of Yahusha Mashiyach. Israel is the servants, and Israel is considered the sheep. From Genesis to Revelation, this is talking about the redemption of the nation of Yashra'al. Now, what is the responsibility of a Torah believer? Very important. What is the responsibility of a Torah believer? A Torah believer is to give, or we are supposed to give our lives to Yahuah for the rest of our lives. Very, very important. This is not something that you can come into today, tomorrow, I want to do something else. But in order to be a true Torah believer, you must give your life to the Father of Yahuah for the rest of your life. We must also love one another, which is very, very important. Zakane, if you can go to Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter, verse 9 through 14, please. We just want to make sure that we clear the air, make sure that everybody understands these key words here. Servants and sheep, and who the Mashiyach, who was sent by the Father, who did he actually come to die for?
Ecclesiastes 12, verse 9. And moreover, because the preacher was wise, he still taught the people knowledge. Yea, he gave good heed and sought out and set in order many proverbs. The preachers sought to find out acceptable words, and that which was written was upright, even words of truth. The words of the wise are as goads, and as nails fastened by the masters of assemblies, which are given from one shepherd.
Wow.
And further, by these, my son, be admonished, of making many books there is no end, and much study is a weariness of the flesh. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Elohim and keep his commandments.
Read that again.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Elohim and keep his commandments. For this is the whole duty of man.
But this is the whole duty of man. So we begin to talk about now, what is the responsibility of a Torah believer? Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear the Father of Yahuah and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man and woman. Read on.
For Elohim shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
Wow. Okay. Hallelujah. So, Mishra Kai just wanted to bring out that little precursor there. Just a little appetizer before we get into today's lesson. Now, the wrath and plagues of the Father of Yahuah. And again, I just wanted to share with everybody that this is a love story that the Father is having with the nation of Yashra'al. We have, in layman's terms, if we look at our everyday relationships, a man falls in love with a woman, okay? The woman breaks the man's heart. The woman goes off. The man tries to rekindle the relationship with all of these promises and all these things that he wants to share with her because he wants to reunite the relationship once again the way that it was from the very beginning. Where we see a lot of symbolisms, the same thing that the Father's trying to do with the nation of Yashra'al. He's trying to rekindle this relationship because of the covenant that he made with our father Abraham. First and foremost, if it wasn't for Abraham, none of us would be here today. Done. So it is very important that we understand what is our role, what is our responsibility, because the Father, again, He sent His Son, and His Son was obedient until the end in making sure that we understood exactly what is going on in this relationship. Now, let's go to the book of Revelation, the 7th chapter, and I'm going to read first the first chapter.
First chapter or first verse?
7th chapter, the first verse, excuse me. Revelation, the 7th chapter, verse 1, and we read down to 3. 1 through 3, Revelation again, the 7th chapter, verses 1 through 3. Pay very close attention to what's going on here. And after these things, I, Yahuah, saw 4 messengers standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds, which are the 4 sore judgments, all right, of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. All right? And I saw another messenger ascending from the east, having the seal of the living Elohim. And he cried with a voice to the 4 messengers now that are holding these 4 winds back. Something has to happen first. To these 4 angels, to whom it was given to hurt the earth. Very important. These 4 messengers now are holding back these 4 winds because their job is to hurt the earth, or the people, or the inhabitants of the earth, and the sea, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our Elohim in their foreheads. So who heads are, what are we talking about right here? Anybody wanted to chime in? Not Zaken here. We have 4 messengers. They're holding back the 4 winds. All right? Saying, hurt not the earth, neither the tree, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our Elohim in their foreheads. What is that talking about?
Yashra'al. Are those that keep the commandments and serving Yahuah, and got the mindset to keep Torah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The key word there is sealing. All right? This sealing now is to be done. Once this sealing is done, yes.
So it's not a physical seal, but more of like a emotional relationship with the Most High?
Yes, it's going to describe that, and the key word there is forehead. All right, forehead. And we have the Greek number 3359, this metaphone. The forehead now is actually the space between the eyes and the forehead. We had talked about this a little bit a couple of weeks ago. We talked about what some people call the third eye. All right? And I just found it real interesting now. When we think of forehead, we think about the whole top of the forehead. All right? But according to Scripture now, all right, the forehead now will be something now that needs to be activated inside of us. And we're talking about, again, this right between these 2 eyes here. All right? This is where this seal has to take place. To further explain that, we're going to have Zaken to go to the book of Deuteronomy, the 11th chapter, and we read 18 to 19. All right, the book of Deuteronomy, because Solomon is already on it. He is already on it.
Deuteronomy what?
Deuteronomy, the 11th chapter, verse 18 to 19, and we're going to have Zaken to read that.
Deuteronomy 11 verse 18. Therefore shall ye lay up these my words in your heart and in your soul, and bind them for a sign upon your hand, that they may be as frontlets between your eyes.
Right. So, not Zaken again. When it says, therefore shall you lay up these words in your heart, where do you believe that the Father is referring to when he says that we're supposed to lay these words up in our heart? Right. So all this is dealing with now something that needs to be reactivated inside of the brain. We're not talking about the physical heart here. then it begins to talk about the soul, which is also inside of the person. Then it says now that you must bind them for a sign upon your hand, and that they may be as frontlets between your eyes. All right? Between your eyes. I just found this again very interesting. And the word lahab, or labab, is the Strong's number for the word heart. We have the inner man, the mind, the will of the man, the heart, the soul, the understanding, the inner heart, the midst, the heart of the man, or the heart of the soul of the man, knowledge, thinking, a reflection, memory, inclination, resolution, determination of the will, because there's a subconscious to our being, and there's a subconscious, and there's the spiritual part of us. So there's a subconscious, and those of us that might not be too spiritually aware, where we might still be asleep. So before the Father's able to do this sealing now, or these winds now come down to actually destroy the earth, we must seal. This awakening must happen with inside of us. And once this awakening happens now, this is when the Father's now going to let loose these 4 angels now, and there's going to be mass destruction on the face of the earth. But there must be a spiritual awakening. Exodus, the 13th chapter. We're going to get Zacchaeus to read that, please.
So, you want me to read 19?
Oh, yes, read 19 too, please.
Deuteronomy 11, verse 19. And ye shall teach them, your children, speaking of them, when you sittest in your house, and when you walkest by the way, when you liest down, and when you riseth up.
Hallelujah. So this is how we get totally absorbed in Torah, when this is something that we do and practice every single day. And once that happens, this is when the spiritual enlightenment happens. And after that, it's time for us to move on to the next stage. Verse 9. Exodus 13th chapter, verse 9.
Exodus 13, verse 9. And it shall be for a sign unto you upon your hand, and for a memorial between your eyes, that Yahuah's law may be in your mouth, for with a strong hand have Yahuah brought you out of Mizraim.
Right.